Welcome to The Work of Warriors, a podcast dedicated to bringing mental wellness to the entertainment industry. I'm your host, Kim Ravage. This podcast is dedicated to the artists we've lost to mental health, addiction, and suicide, and to those who are still suffering in silence. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. Back in December of 2023, I attended a wellness retreat that was hosted by Kimberly Fields. I had the opportunity to meet one of the keynote speakers and immediately was connected to her energy. And, it was one of those things where, she got up there in the first 10 seconds. I was like, oh, I like this person. I like her vibe. And I loved the talk that she gave. And then we were, connecting in the hallway and exchanging phone numbers in no time. So I am thrilled that she's here today. My guest today is a visionary of finishing strong. She is a life coach, a business coach, an author. She has a book called Live Strong, Stand Strong, Finish Strong. She has been featured on iHeartRadio, NBC, Fox Entertainment News, ABC, just to mention a few. And so I am so excited that she is participating in the Work of Warriors. I am thrilled to introduce to you Erica Strong. Hello, Erica. Welcome to the Work of Warriors. How are you?
Good. Hello, Kim. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's so good to see you. We were just saying, every time we talk, it's a good conversation. And I know that I felt an immediate connection to you when we were at the wellness retreat in Atlanta, and you started by addressing the women with life experience in the room. And you were like, there's two things that you need, a blanket and a fan. And the whole room went wild, and everybody was standing up, waving their fans and their blankets. And it was so funny. But also I think, you started right out of the gate with just making us feel seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your energy and how you see people and how grounded you are. So I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You have a lot of experience as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
You had a huge social media presence. You've
Mm-hmm.
been on iHeartRadio and ABC and NBC and Fox. You've done so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But then you lost your social media.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and how that played out and where you are now?
Of course. So I am I think I stopped using the word life coach a while back because I just feel like it was so watered down. But so I'll just tell you what my intention is, because like a title to me doesn't even matter, right?
Yeah.
It's how I show up. And so when I show up to make sure that I am able to be the light in someone's life, or also to be the guide that they need as they go through, whether it's business or life, because business and life is what I deal with. Most of my clients are entrepreneurs. And of course, we know in the entertainment world, they're still entrepreneurs, but they still deal with a lot of life that happens in between. So I feel like I'm uniquely placed in, that juncture where life and business happens. Right. And so that's what I do. And so with my social media following, I've always been the person that, like, if you go to my page 10 years back, it's always to inspire, to uplift, never anything negative. So it was always this good push that if you need a little jolt of something, you're going to come to Finishing Strong and you'll find what you need. Well, one day I am, scrolling through, and I got this message that looked very official and was like, your page is going to be blocked because it has something, offensive on it. I'm like, I don't have anything offensive. Click. And just that one click,
Shoot.
my entire page was taken. And I mean, all of my followers, all of my content. It's like I didn't care so much about the followers that I did about the content, because I knew that I always posted quality content.
Mm-hmm.
And that just hurt my heart. But it also made me realize, especially for people that put business inside of social media, I've always preached, do not let that be the house of your business. That's just one shell. But the house of your business should be away from social media, because any push of a button, your entire business could be gone.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was the biggest lesson that you took away from that?
You know, when it first happened, there was this hyperventilation happening, right? Like so afraid that my social status has been taken, my my hard work has been taken away. And honestly, I think after I sat with that, I was like, you know what? It's okay. You know, it's okay, because sometimes we really start to get very attached to the numbers, the followers, the likes, the comments. And as much as we say, well, you know, I'm above that, it matters. And it made me sit with that, right? And as I sat with that, I thought, Erica, you didn't lose you. Like, you are the gift, right? This social media page is not the gift. So it really made me circle back to what was real and what was true. And that's me,
Oh,
you
I love
know?
that. So
Yeah.
well said. I love that. And it's the reason I started with that is because it's so common, right? We have so many people where, and myself included, on
Mhm.
certain days, like, I just don't want to do this. I just want to do what I love. And artists are the same. They just want to bring their gifts into the world. They don't,
Mhm.
most of them don't want to navigate social media. They don't want to have to
Mhm.
earn your, earn your adoration. And so, and yet it's something that most people that we want to impact are using.
Mhm.
And so, we're all, I think, sharing this bind that we're
Yeah.
in with social media. And so I knew that was part of your story. And
Mhm.
I wanted you to share that because I think it's such a good lesson. Like, it could go away tomorrow.
I'm telling
And you
you.
don't. You don't go away. You
You
could lose
don't
your
go
career.
away. Yeah. And when we attach our self-worth to what society says is normal now, how many
Yeah.
followers do you have? How many, how many likes do you get? When we attach our self-worth to that, that can be taken away, that's so fickle, that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, it really is. And I myself don't have a huge following,
Mhm.
and I feel like the work that I do, and not only with my clients or, the podcast, but with myself,
Mhm.
has allowed me to not allow as much meaning in those numbers for other people as well.
Mhm.
So, but I couldn't do that if I wasn't doing it for myself. If I'm looking at myself like,
Exactly.
well, if I only have 1,000 followers, and like you said, attaching my worth to that, well, now I'm gonna
Mhm.
look at some other human being who only has 1,000 followers and judge them as if they're not as worthy. And so
Yeah.
now I can just look at it and be like, it doesn't matter. What are they
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
What is their energy? What's the vibe? What are they trying to do? And that's what
Yep.
I'm always looking at. I have people who will ask, "Why do you want me on the podcast?" And why would I not? You're about mental. You're an artist, and you're
Yeah.
passionate about mental health. I want to talk. I don't even
Absolutely.
necessarily have to like your art, but if you're an artist and you're talking about mental health, I want to talk. I don't care how many followers you
Absolutely.
have.
Because you know what, the sad reality though, that we do have to recognize that it's there, and position ourselves to kind of fight against it.
Hmm.
I would show up places and people would meet me, and of course they're like, "Oh, hello, Erica Strong, how are you?" And then if they go and Google me and then they see my following, I feel a different reception when I had the numbers, right? It was always like, "Hey, well, come on my, talk show. Hey, come on." So like they're always looking for the person that has all the followers. So there's this false sense that's out there that we really have to rise above, you know? And
Yeah.
to your point, when someone says like, "Why do you want me on your podcast?" It's so normal now that if you don't have 10K, 15K, 100K followers, that you are like a little peon, to people. But when you really show up and know that you are the gift and what you bring is so much more valuable than, the lights and everything. Because I remember, I think I told you this when we met, one of the talk shows locally that I was a contributing guest on. They would ask me back so much that people started thinking that I was a regular one there, right? And one of the issues that I had every time it was time for me to show up, I never knew who the guest would be until maybe either the day of or until I got there. And it was a celebrity this and a Grammy winner that and an Oscar winner this. And I always fought with, who am I? What am I going to say? Why do they want me on this show? And I had to do the work, right? Before I showed up, I had to sit with myself and say, literally, I would say, Erica, you are enough. You are enough. Your authenticity is your superpower. You just show up, you sit there, and you be yourself. And every time, and I literally, Kim, I would say this as I'm being mic'd, as I'm being ushered to my seat, as I'm sitting there getting myself together, I'm like, Erica, you're enough. Erica, you're enough. Erica, be authentic. Erica, be authentic. And then the camera start rolling because it was a live, conversation. There was no edits. And the camera would start rolling. And I promise you, it's just my authenticity always added to the conversation. And I always left with but I had to give myself that talk leading up to sitting down in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think we crave authenticity and connection for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you show up and you're authentic, then that gives me permission to be me.
Yep.
And I think all of us are craving that right now.
Yes.
And then there's also, I don't want to minimize or dismiss the reality that artists don't always have that opportunity.
No.
Right? I was just talking to someone earlier today. When we go to concerts, we don't want to go and be bummed out or hear about too much personal stuff. Like, we want to be, entertained. And I think as consumers of art, we would all benefit from being more sensitive to that, to honoring artists, because they don't just entertain us, right?
Yeah.
They save us.
Yeah.
They change our lives. They make doing this hard world a little easier. And so if we could allow more authenticity from our artists, I think we would all win. And they can only do that if we keep giving them permission, and we be better consumers of the art.
Yeah. Yeah. And instead of just pulling on them for what they can give us, right?
Yes.
Giving them that
From
space
what they
to
can
be
produce.
human.
Yeah.
Because every client that I have that has that spotlight, the one thing I say, I think I may need to make a t-shirt, stamp it on my forehead, is like, you are human. And it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I just had this visual of, like, imagine walking into, like a theater or, a concert venue and handing out reminder cards. Like, your artist tonight is human. Not a robot, not a machine, not perfect.
Yes.
A human being who is worthy of respect.
A human being.
Yes.
That is being. Right? Like, and what happens with being? Life happens.
Right.
With being.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tell us about your coaching. You're a transformative coach. And I agree. The word life coach has been overused and saturated and made, I think, to feel cliche. But you're powerful. You have an impact. You were talking about, the response you got when you had a lot of followers versus the response, if you don't. And I can say, well, I met you when I hadn't heard of you and I hadn't followed you on social media yet. I got the privilege of meeting you in person, and 10 words out of your mouth, and I was like, I'm going to quote unquote follow this person. And so tell us about what you do.
So just everything that we pretty much have been talking about, right? So I just make sure that when we talk, they are seen, not the facade, not the outside image, that you are seen, you're protected, and you're heard, right? And in that conversation, there's no holdback, no drawback, no, I'm not sure if I can share this, right? And so I do a juggle of both. So like if it's, let's just say I'm with the client and we're talking about strategy for their business, how to brand it, how to market it, how to position themselves in the market. Because just like celebrities as entrepreneurs, they still have to have other streams of income. When that strike just happened and they weren't able to work for a while, just helping them to create, different streams of income. So we may start off with a business strategy call or, business branding call. And, my first question is, how are you? Right?
Mm.
Before we start talking about business, how are you? Well, Erica, I'm just not feeling it today. So then I pause the business hat, put on the therapy hat, let's talk. So I make sure that there's a balance there when we are building a business, building a life, whatever, so that transformation is happening at the same time.
Yeah, that's so powerful because, entrepreneurs, artists, the higher well-known you are, the less they get of that. The less people are asking, how are you really?
And really
And the
meaning it.
more, ask, the more demand, the more,
Mm-hmm.
management of all the things. And they're not getting asked, how are you? How's your heart? How's your soul?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's important because, then the anxiety releases, then they feel safe, then they know that this is one safe space that I could truly be myself, right? And then just helping them to navigate what that looks like. And to your point, the higher they are in that ladder, the less that they get to have those kind of conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a real heart for, you know this about me, just the complexity between what we're told that success will, make us happy, to the reality that if we're not happy, if we're not taking care of ourselves, no amount of success is going to make us happy.
Yeah.
And we talk about the importance of mental health, but
Mm-hmm.
it's such a priority,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because just like we talked about your social media, but some people can lose their entire career, right or wrong.
Right.
Something happens, a musician loses, injures their vocal cords, or,
Mm-hmm.
whatever happens,
Mm-hmm.
even what, the industry experienced during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I share the value that what we want is for artists, entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
high achievers, that if it all goes away, that they still know they are the same person. They are worthy of just as much love and respect and kindness
Mm-hmm.
without any of the flashy stuff, right? And
Absolutely.
that is true peace, where
Mm-hmm.
you can truly have joy.
Mm-hmm. I literally just did a post last week and I was talking about just the hardest part of entrepreneurship, right? It's not the business plan, it's not the marketing plan, it's not how to build, it's the sitting with yourself every day. Every day you face yourself with the, am I enough? Am I good enough? Can I make this work? What if it fails? Like, you have to sit with those emotions every day. And you have to position yourself to learn how to change that perspective, change that narrative, and be able to talk back to that. So for me, built into my entrepreneurial life is self-help, self-work, my meditation time, my prayer time, my reading time. Like, I have always been a junkie for, you know inspirational, motivational, self-help, spiritual, because I knew as an entrepreneur I needed something that I could keep filling myself back up with, because if not, the ebb and flow of business happens.
Yeah.
And so if you're not in that space where I know who I am to my core, whether my bank account is full or whether it's looking a little low, that does not define who I am. And finding that space to be able to have that kind of confidence, that's hard work.
Yeah. Well, and the ebb and flow of business, but that's life too.
It's life.
You could be wildly successful and have all the money
Hmm.
and have enough for the rest of your life, and
Hmm.
life is still going to happen to you.
Life is still going to happen. Yep.
Adversity is still going to happen, tragedy, loss,
Hmm.
sickness, all of it. It's still going to happen.
Hmm. I'm an avid reader. And like, one of the books that I came across, I would say maybe about a year ago, I think, Michael Singer, The
Mhm.
Untethered Soul.
Mhm. Mhm.
just that the title for me said a lot because it's to live a life that's not anchored into anything, to live untethered from anything, the outcome of anything. That's easier said than done for sure. However, there's work that you can do to make sure that you are not locked in on an outcome, because when you make yourself so rigid to it's got to happen this way, it's got to show up this way, it's got to stay this way, I can't change, you would drive yourself bananas.
Yeah. Do you have language or words to describe if you have one of those moments where you don't feel tethered and you're in the best kind of way, what
Mhm.
that feels like?
Oh my God, I think the best word that I can say is free. So
Yeah.
can you imagine living a life where, oh, traffic is crazy, but I'm still at peace? You know, my child decided they're not going to go to college, but I'm still at peace. Or, I had an accident and maybe I can't function the way that I used to be able to function, but I can still find peace. So I think freedom and peace are probably my two words that I can wrap around it. Because if you can sit in something that would typically be that tipping, that tip for you to just lose it and find peace in it, that's an untethered life.
Mhm. Yeah. It reminds me of Byron Katie when
Mhm.
she says, we cause our own suffering by arguing with our reality. And so
Oh,
that is one
yeah.
thing that I journal a lot in my
Mm.
morning pages is don't argue with reality. So when
Need to
anything
write that
happens,
down.
the day shifts, something happens out of my control. It's an acceptance of like, okay, okay. I trust the timing. I trust that, this is reality. This is happening.
Mhm.
And that does spill over into more difficult things. You and I were talking before, the call, like life is hard sometimes.
Mhm.
And when you can accept that and not argue with it
Mhm.
and go, okay, so I still have to take care of myself. I still have to work on my mental health. I still
Mhm.
have to eat well. I still have to find time to get in a workout. I still
Mhm.
have to do all the things that keep me as grounded and
Mhm.
peaceful and free as possible.
Mhm.
But it does start to become a lifestyle,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
then I think it's resilience. You
Yeah.
become more and more resilient.
Mhm.
Whereas I think I spent a lot of time just trying to not let life happen. Like if I could control things and if I could see danger coming around the corner, it
Nope.
wouldn't get me,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
And now
Nope.
I'm just like, yep, life is going to happen
It's gonna
and
happen.
I can't think of anything I can't handle. Will it be hard? Yes. Will it be painful? Yes.
Yeah.
But I have resources and communities and tools
Yeah.
to be able to navigate anything. And that's freedom.
Yeah. And you know what? For the artist community, the average person will think, how could that happen to them? No one's exempt.
Yeah.
You know, they're going through a divorce. Guess what? Somebody else is going through a divorce. It's just not public. They're
Yes.
going through a bankruptcy. Guess what? Somebody else is going through that. It's just not public. Somebody loses a child. Somebody else is going through that. It's just not public. Like no one is exempt from life happening. It's how we respond to when life happens that makes
Yeah.
all the difference in the world.
And scream that from the mountaintops.
Mhm.
How did you get into this work?
Honestly, I just feel like it's been something that I was born with. Like
Mm,
like when I think back as a young kid, I remember friends always I was like the safety net for everybody, right? People would always confide in me. My dad always confided in me. Like I was always like the secret keeper. And so when it was time for me to go to school, I thought I wanted to be a child psychiatrist. I knew I always wanted to do therapy. I just knew it because it was just something that I felt innately. I just felt it. But I was always drawn to business as watching my dad as an entrepreneur and him, helping me to understand the power of being an entrepreneur. So I went for business and then therapy. But I just knew that how like when you know you're living in your purpose, I'm
yeah.
so blessed to know what I was called here to do.
I had a similar experience. I remember in like junior college, it was local, and they called me the community counselor. I was like, what? I'm just eating lunch. But looking back, people came to me with, questions and wanting to connect and, what do you think about this? And just kind of always had a natural way of just being with people.
I don't know if you found this though, as I went through life and I was always the person that people came to for the answers and they're like, what should I do? And da da da. Did you ever start to feel like you were not able to show your human side because everybody came to you for everything?
Oh, I built a whole career around that.
Yes.
I was a therapist for 20 years. It was just all give, give, give. And let me go try to take care of myself over here.
Yeah, in the
And
quiet. Yeah.
knowing that what I was navigating was more complex than what I was willing to put out in the public, I had to distance myself from the public, right? I had to distance myself from people who didn't know the depths of what I was navigating, and I had to hold the people who did, I had to hold them very close. I needed that safety to know that I could show up in my true authentic self, but it wasn't something I could do on social media or in the grocery store or in even certain relationships or conversations. But I built a whole career on taking care of other people until I burned out and had to shift my entire career identity.
Yeah. I can tell you my ground shaking, you have to take care of yourself moment, right?
Please do.
I'm married. I had just had my last daughter. She was 1. My husband at the time, he was working for an airline and he used to travel a lot as an auditor for the airline. And so this particular trip, he was going to be gone for 2 weeks. I had a brand new business. I had my brand new daughter and I already had 2 girls. So like, was it 14, 7, and 1 now, right? And so I was a busy mom. I was traveling and speaking and doing all of that stuff, right? And so 2 weeks has passed. He's calling the whole time, through his 2 weeks away. 2 weeks has passed. Now we're going into the 3rd week. And I'm just casually talking to him on the phone. I'm like, so when are you coming back? Because like I need help. Like, getting her to daycare and me having to, go to speaking engagements and things like that. Hey, I can't do this on my own. And his words were exactly what I'm about to tell you. He said, so I decided I'm not coming back. So, and when he said that, I think I froze. It was like a Sunday. I'm laying in the bed and I froze. I was like, thinking he's joking, like, what are you talking about? You're not coming back, right? And so my first reaction, I'm laying in the bed and I'm looking at all of his cologne and his, jewelry, like his stuff is still here. I was like, well, you didn't leave like a person that wasn't coming back. What was your plans for your things? He said, well, whatever you can't sell, give it to Goodwill. I'm not coming back. You talk about shattered, broken, and hey, I'm Erica Strong. Everybody follows Erica Strong for, that advice and that resilience and all of that stuff, right? And I laid in the bed for 3 days in shock because I just could not believe that what he said was true, right? And I would say after maybe that 3rd day, and luckily my 14-year-old, she was so amazing. She just kept everybody okay. Like my 1-year-old, my 7-year-old, like she made sure that they was fed because I think they just thought I wasn't feeling well. They had no idea what was going on. She just thought mommy's sick, leave her alone, let's let her rest. And so she would bring soup in and she would try to take care of me. I didn't eat for 3 days. I didn't get out of the bed for 3. I was stuck, right? And then right after the 3rd day, he calls and he goes, well, I'm just going to let you know before you find out from anyone else that I am with, and it was a celebrity, right? And this person, is an artist and traveled and, did all her stuff. And that was a spiral that I never ever thought that I would find myself in, right? Because now everybody knows me. So of course they know my husband. And because this celebrity now has announced that she's engaged to this guy who's still married to me, everybody that knew me, it was the Erica, oh my God. So like I hid from the world, right? I would not go to the church. I wouldn't go to the grocery store. If I would go, I would go late at night because I just didn't want anybody asking me about that. And so I remember it had gotten so bad that because my narrative wasn't changing, my narrative was, how could he do this to me? And how could he leave me? And how could he leave my children? I mean, just that whole me. And so I just decided, I was living in Georgia at the time and I wanted to go back home to Maryland. And I packed the car up, pretending like we're going on a road trip and having fun with the kids. They still had no clue what was going on, right? And so we get in the car, we pack it up, and we're driving to Baltimore. And I remember as soon as I saw that everybody was asleep and I could stop faking that we were having a good trip, I just broke down crying. And I'm crying so hard and I'm crying, I'm driving, I'm wiping my eyes and crying and driving. And I started talking to God, like, this is too hard. You said that you wouldn't put more on me than I can bear. This is too hard. And the reason why, Kim, I decided to get in that car and drive, because I remember standing in front of his medicine cabinet and he had just had knee surgery like some months ago. And I was thinking, like, I should just take all of these pills and just end it for myself because this is too much. Even it was so hard that even in the mornings when I would wake up, I'm thinking like, why am I awake? Like, why am I still alive? I just thought the pain would just take me out. And I was like, okay, I got to get out of here. Got to change the scenery. And I started driving and they're asleep and I'm crying and I'm crying to God. I was like, you said you wouldn't put more on me than I can bear. This is too much. Everybody knows my secret. I can't be Erica Strong. I'm too weak right now. And so I remember driving across like this, like a bridge from Georgia to South Carolina, right? And I'm driving and I'm just crying and the pain is just getting deeper and deeper. And just a quick moment, I thought I should just, drive and just take me and the girls and let's just go over this bridge. And honestly, I'm like in this trance, looking over the bridge, thinking like, I should just do it. And my daughter coughed. Coughed. I was like, how selfish of me. And so I found myself, I'm getting emotional. I never get emotional when I talk about this because it was so long ago and I'm so healed. But I think I'm realizing how vulnerable people can be, especially when they're in the limelight, especially when everybody's looking at them to be the strong person. It can happen that quick. My daughter coughed and snapped me out of it. And from that second on, I have been on a mission to help as many people that I can help to change that narrative, change that perspective. Don't let one isolated thing in life make you make a permanent decision for something that was really temporary. I'm remarried. My husband is amazing. He loves me and my children. So my story changed. But what if I would have let that moment take me out?
Yeah.
And that's why my heart is so big for people that are in a bigger spotlight, because it happens just that quick. When I think about Twitch, somebody that looked like he was happy all the time, I was hurt like he was my brother. I mean, even back to Robin, I just,
Robin Williams. Yeah.
yes, like I loved him. Like he was always so happy, making everybody happy. And I think about those people and I think they needed someone that saw them, like really saw them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that long story.
Take that back. Don't be sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because these are the conversations that I want to have. Because they're human. You're a human being. And we don't talk enough about the realities of how hard it is to not only be successful or whatever, but just to be freaking human.
Human.
It's really hard. And when we are not well, we hurt each other and ourselves.
Yeah.
And you and I, but you experience that from another human being.
Mm-hmm.
And then you experience that from yourself that could have impacted a lot of other people too.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
God.
And I'm really grateful that you're willing to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we would all benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you and I talk about, you know, we work with high achievers, we work with entrepreneurs and celebrities and high performers and artists. But if they're well, then the rest of us have permission to be well. And so that's why these conversations are so important, so we can normalize the conversation, so we can normalize the realities of being human. And you and I, you know, we've had only a few conversations, but they're always powerful and meaningful and vulnerable. And I'm so appreciative. We have such similar stories, and there's so much connection. And you and I shared another story offline. It was like, whoa, there's so much alike. We have experienced so many of the same things.
Yeah.
And even with the story that you shared, that pivotal moment, that shift, I have a very similar story.
Wow.
And it was one, for me, it was, you know, the leading up to was very different. But, you know, I was a therapist and I was burning out. And when COVID hit, I had lost, you know, someone that I cared about deeply to suicide. And then COVID hit, and then everything was online, and it was save all the people, because that's my nature, but that's really my trauma response, save all the people, until the point where one friend said one little thing and I nearly lost my mind. And I, you know, same, I was laying in bed. I literally just prayed that God would take me. Please just take me. Everybody, you know, the lie that I hear when I'm in the dark, that I fortunately have not heard in a very long time, which is why I fight so hard for myself every day, because I never want to feel that again, was everyone is better without you. Everyone would be better if you weren't here.
Oh no.
And that is such a scary place to be.
Yes.
And then you wake up and you're like, oh man, I'm still here. And yeah, similar, you know, thinking about, where can I put this car? How can I wrap this car around a tree? How? And, you know, these aren't conversations that are welcomed by many people. And so, because people don't know what to do with it. And it is terrifying. But I think for those of us who've been there, if we can offer other people hope, because like you, I mean, I love my life and I love my family. I just had to do a lot of work to get to this place, so that, and like I said, I you know, I think we're always healing. For me, it's layer by layer by layer. But it gets better. It's not the end of the story. The adversity, the tragedy, the loss, the cancer, the financial bankruptcy, it's not the end of the story. And so we want people to hear that message, to keep going. Because if you hang on and you keep going and you get the care that you need and that you're worthy of, you have no idea what's waiting for you.
Absolutely. That was the reason that my platform was named Finishing Strong. That ing. It's an ongoing movement. It's not done. You have to keep getting up. You have to keep moving. You have to keep trying. It's going to get better. It feels hard today, but it's going to get better. You have to do the work. Finishing.
Yeah. Well, and I want to touch on, you know, something you said. You said, I'm, you know, I'm getting emotional, you know, but I've already, you know, had so much healing. Having healing and living a life that is peaceful doesn't mean that our painful experiences never rise to the surface again.
Right.
But it's just an invitation for more healing, right? Like being able to have this conversation now, right now, is healing another layer, and we come out on the other side stronger. and we keep finishing stronger, right?
Stronger.
Every time we're vulnerable, every time we process a new layer, it's not like just because we're coaches, we have it all figured out and life is always easy.
Yeah.
Just because we're an artist, just because we're famous, just because we're wealthy.
Yeah.
Life still happens, and that's human and it's normal. And let's talk about it.
Yeah. And what I've noticed is there is not a cap to self-care.
Mm-mm.
Like I do it every day, knowing that something is going to come because this is life. Something heavy is going to happen. This is life. So the way that you prepare yourself for the inevitable change that life takes is you have to be doing the work every day.
Yeah. What are your daily non-negotiables? I know you mentioned meditation and prayer, and you're an avid reader.
Mhm.
What are some other non-negotiables that you have to maintain this peaceful, resilient energy that you just show up with?
Yeah, so like you said, I have to meditate before anyone gets like I absolutely love being awake when everyone's still asleep. It's still dark outside. I have my tea and I'm sitting with my book and I meditate first. Like I have to have that time, right? And I love to swim. I
Swim?
love to just swim. And I mean, in the pool, I'm thinking as I'm doing lap after lap, I'm just thinking and I'm, being grateful and I'm having my affirmations. Like I have that time. If I don't have my time, I feel like my day is off whack. Like I don't, I can't really show up for myself. So those are my non-negotiables, just that morning time for me.
I love that. Have you heard the song? It's called Swim by
Hmm.
Jack's Mannequin.
No.
It's so beautiful.
Oh, I have to find it.
I love it. It's like an anthem for our conversation.
Mm, I'll have to
So
find it.
I highly encourage you to take a
Yeah.
listen. It's beautiful. How would someone know that you're their person? Do I want to work with Erica? How do I know it's a good fit? Who's
Mm.
your ideal client?
My ideal client is a person that, you have a vision, you have like that thing that that is your purpose for life, whether it's your business, it's your platform, it's your, whatever that thing is that you have for your life, but you just don't quite know how to bring it to the market, how to like bring it out of yourself, how to like, really like level up in your life. That person would want to talk to me, right? They would want to get that strategy, but also if you feel like I can do this but I'm afraid. So like life or your limiting beliefs is just kind of like holding you back. That person would want to talk to me because that therapy will kick in and then the strategy for the business. So like if you are that person that has that I got something that I know that I love to do, but something is holding me back.
Mm,
Something is not letting me show up for myself. Something is not letting me perform. Then that is my person.
yeah. What is the first call with you like?
You
Do you do
know,
like a lead call, strategy call?
honestly, most of my first calls, we get some tears,
Mhm.
we get some revelation, and we get some strategy, right? So with that first call, we go straight to who are you really? Why do you want to show up in this area? And we go all the way down that lane of like, are you really? Because before we can truly get to what that success look like for you, we can't mask success over a mess, right? And
Love that.
that's where we go first.
I'll write that one down. We cannot mask success over a mess. That's good.
Because people always think, just let me hurry up and become successful, and then the mess that I'm trying to forget about is going to go away. It's not.
In fact, it'll
It
follow
won't go
you and it will
away.
find you
You
and it
have
will
to
roar.
confront it. You have
Yeah.
to deal with it. And when you show up and in that success, you can truly, embody that success because you're not dealing with the demons in the back and the dark behind here.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. I love that you're doing that. You
Mhm.
know, I always say, I want your career to take off. I just don't want it to take you out.
Absolutely.
And so many of us are, and I did it for
Mm.
years, trying to build something, create something, achieve something, hustle our way out of the past. And it
Mhm.
doesn't work.
It
It'll
doesn't
chase you
work.
down and knock you down and kick the snot out of you. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you're doing or how much money you have or how many people like you.
Yeah. Because I mean, I would sometimes from a, non-celebrity perspective think like, how did you sacrifice to get this far in your life and decide to do drugs? How do you do that? How do you mess it all up? Because the real stuff that really needed to be, worked on before the money, before the fame,
Yep.
it didn't get it, right? And crazy enough, and maybe we could do a sidebar conversation because this could be something that we could work on together. I started working on this whole campaign to partner with agents, record
Mhm.
labels, all of those people, so that before the person signs on that dotted line, go through some time with us to get the mess done, so that that person can show up in their success whole.
Yeah, I
And
love.
I don't know why I didn't follow through with it, but maybe this is the time.
Maybe this is the time, and you will not be surprised that I just 2 days ago had a conversation with someone about creating a conference
Mhm.
for managers and agents and producers, people who are managing the careers of the artists.
Yes.
You know, we can't none of us wanna live in this world without art,
Yeah.
and
No.
so it serves everyone if we take care of them, and we are asking most of them to live a really difficult lifestyle for our
Yeah.
benefit,
Yeah.
and so we
And
owe it to them.
absolutely. And Kim, when would they be most receptive to hear us? Before they sign the contract.
Yep,
That's when they really would want to do the work. Because after the fame has come in and you are able to just, do whatever, say whatever, be whatever, it's harder to get them to come back to,
yep,
wait, let's work on some stuff that should have been dealt with before now.
yeah. I had a podcast recording just a couple hours before you hopped on and was
Mhm.
with the founder of Porter's Call, which is a nonprofit in Nashville for musicians.
Mm.
And he's getting ready to teach a class. You're going to love this. He's getting ready to teach a class at Belmont University for junior and senior college students who are entering into the music industry. And the class is all about his 23 years of experience
Mhm.
of what the industry's like, the pitfalls, the roadblocks, the risks, all the things. And it's called prehab.
Ooh, love it. Love it.
So maybe if you incorporate these lessons into your life now,
Yes.
you won't end up, what did he say? He said maybe you won't end up in rehab or on TMZ.
Love it. Love it.
And to anyone who's listening to this, there are so many people out here like Erica, like myself, like everybody who has been on this podcast that want to help,
Mhm.
that appreciate you and your art and the work that you do and the gifts you're bringing to the world and how you save us. Everybody has a song that has saved them. Everybody has a movie. Everybody has something that has impacted them for life in a beautiful way.
Mhm.
And we want to help. And
Mhm.
we're here.
And you know what? When you said that, it just made me think about my song that saved me. Not sure if you heard of India Ari. The song is I Am Light.
I don't know if I've heard
I
that.
play that over and over and over and over. I Am Light by India Ari. Oh my God. It just reminded me of who I am to the core, right? And the movie that saved me, believe it or not, was The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
I watched it over and over and over because I watched how hard his life was and the things that he had to go through. And when he finally made it outside and he's just like that's what I was waiting for. So to your point, we all do have that song, that piece of art, that's something that saved us.
Yeah. Yeah. When the world's upside down, it's the artists who save us.
Yep.
So let's take care of them.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I know we could start a whole nother thread and go on another couple hours, but I'm gonna respect your time and just say thank you for being here. And you are such a warrior, and you're a warrior for the warriors. So I'm so grateful that you're here and that you've participated.
Thank you for sharing your space with me. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Yeah. How
Mhm.
can people find you real quick before we end the call? How can people find you, Erica?
Well, of course, social media, finishing strong on all platforms. Erica Strong, on some platforms, but ericastrong.com is my website.
Okay. All right. Thank you for being here.
And thank you.
Have a great day.
You do the same.